Hello, welcome to today's video. We are on pages 14 and 15 of the Alfred's All-in-One course, Book 3. The name of today's song is The Magic Man. This page, or this song, introduces the eighth rest. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of writing or talking in the beginning of this book. So notice here at the very top of the page, so we talk about the eighth rest, and we have this little rhythm here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about first is we're going to remind ourselves about eighth notes and how to count them. So in your book, let's go ahead and write this. 1, and this plus sign means and. 2, and 3, and 4, and. So remember, when you are tapping your foot up and down, it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when the foot is up, that's the and. When it's down, that's the 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's the downbeat and the upbeat. So 1, down, up, down, beat, upbeat. The ands are the upbeats. We're going to go ahead and turn on the metronome, and we're going to clap and count 4 sets of eighth notes. Or rather, we're going to clap 8 eighth notes. We're going to make it at a slow tempo. Let's make it at the tempo of 100. Can't seem to hear that. Excuse me. Okay, so there's our tempo of 100. And if you can see me in the screen, let's go ahead and clap and count eighth notes. So we're going to say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now, instead of clapping just eighth notes, the and, go ahead and do this for the eighth rest, okay? So we're going to say 1 and each time. But we're still going to use the same tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. And then, of course, when we try that, let's try that one more time. Looking at our book. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place your right hand in G position. We're simply going to play 8 eighth notes on G. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I suppose we can play a 5-finger exercise. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And that's just the next measure. Now, let's go ahead and play, as you saw there, instead of 8 eighth notes, now we're going to do 4 eighth notes with 4 eighth rests in between. Same tempo. Let's just do it on G first. 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Notice as you are lifting your finger off the key, that's the upbeat. When the finger is down into the key bed, that's the downbeat. Make sure that you can hear and feel the difference between the eighth note and the eighth rest. Remember, an eighth rest, just like regular rests, the finger must be up for the full value of that beat. Okay, so now that we have practiced going over eighth notes and eighth rests, let's go ahead now and talk about our music here. The first 2 measures are staccato, and the second to the last and the last system are also staccato. So notice that the rhythm is a bunch of quarter notes with 2 eighth notes on beat number 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to clap and count the rhythm. Ready? 1, 2, just for these 2 measures, and go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's for the first 2 measures right there. Now, let's go ahead and clap and say the note names. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. G, D, D, A, D, B flat, D, A, D. Make sure that you tell the difference between the eighth notes and the quarter notes. So let's go ahead and try with the metronome. Now these are going to be eighth notes right here. Actually, let's try it with just quarter notes instead. Okay, so here are quarter notes. 2 eighth notes for 1 quarter note, or 1 click. 1, 2, 3. Note names. G, D, D, A, D, B flat, D, A, D. Make sure that you have 2 eighth notes. 1 M. 1 M for 1 click there, okay? Now, let's go ahead and play those first 2 measures. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2. But first, let's talk about these 2 measures right here. What is the articulation? It is staccato for all the notes, and the dynamic is piano. So take your time when first going over these notes here. Nice and piano, bounce for staccato. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we had staccato bouncing, and the dynamic was soft. G, D, D, A, D, B flat, D, A, D. Try your best to simply skid off the surface of the note or the key to play it softly, so you're not banging the note. Now, let's talk about the difference between staccato eighth notes and non-legato eighth notes. Staccato, remember, is a shortened eighth note, or any kind of staccato is a shortened note. And non-legato is the full value, like when you add the tenuto mark over the notes. So there should be a difference between staccato eighth notes. So for example, let's play the 5-finger exercise like this, and let's try it with the metronome also. We're going to play these as eighth notes at the 100 tempo. Oops. Let's undo this. Okay, so here's our 100 tempo. We're going to play staccato. Once again. So that's staccato. And now let's play the same thing again, but now non-legato. Listen to how much longer the duration of each note is. But still, eighth notes. They followed directly with the metronome, which means they were of eighth notes, and they did have a space of silence in between, but not too short that it was staccato. It was a non-legato space of silence. Very good. Now, the reason why I'm making a huge emphasis on all of this is because in measure 3 and for the remaining, except for at the end again, we have non-legato eighth notes. So let's go ahead and play through the rest just so we can hear it. Ready? So we're going to start right there. 1, 2, listen to non-legato and go. So spaces of silence. Rest. So before we move on, let's go ahead now and take a look at the book again. So one thing I would like for you to do is, if you need to write fingering, first of all, go ahead and do that. But also take time to circle every single eighth rest in this music. So I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, sometimes they're mixed within eighth notes and quarter notes, so be careful, especially for this measure right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our time to do that, please. Then let's go ahead now and start on page number 15. Notice here that we have eighth notes and one single eighth rest. So when we go ahead and talk about that, we're going to talk about it like this. Let's take our time and write in the counts. Okay, so we're going to say 1 and 2 and 3. This one also is an and because it's an eighth rest. 4 and. Go ahead and take a look at me on the little screen. We're going to clap and say the note names. Okay, so we know there are a bunch of eighth notes. We know how to clap that. But the and of 3, the upbeat, is an eighth rest. So instead of clapping, we need to do this. Also, instead of saying and, we're going to say rest and then continue with the note. So let's go ahead and go over that measure. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, clap and say, and go. G, A, B, C, D, rest, D, C. I said B, but it's a B flat, but I'm saying B just for the sake of the single syllable. Alrighty, now let's go ahead and play the same thing for the right hand. Make sure that your finger number 3 is on B flat right there because it is B flat. Ready? Remember, on the and of 3, we do not play anything. We say rest. Remember the non-legato also. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, A, B, C, D, rest, D, C. So during the value of an eighth note, fingers are all up and you say rest. Let's play now from this measure down here up to that measure there, non-legato again. We have our tied fifth. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now note names. G, A, B, C, D, rest, D, C. Now I just put it away just so you can see that I was not playing anything, okay? Next two measures we have here, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. Now make sure when you do those measures, we can hear the difference between eighth notes and eighth rests. Let's go ahead and turn on the metronome just for the eighth note so you can hear 1 click for 1 eighth note, 2 clicks for 1 quarter note, and 4 for the whole note. Excuse me, for the half note. Ready? 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. And then when we play, finger number 3 on B flat, 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Or if you just want to go ahead with the quarter note, 2 for each click. 1 and 2, 3, 4. B, A, G, A, 2. Make sure those are non-legato. Left hand is G and D, also non-legato. Let's play with the metronome. 1, 2, these two measures, and go. B, A, G, A, 2. B, A, G, A, 2. May be helpful to practice hands separately a little bit. In the next system, we once again have the same thing that started on measure number 3, and we have the eighth rest on the and of 3. But then the next measure after that, we have 2 sets of eighth notes, and 2 sets of eighth rests. If you need to clap and count there, go ahead and do that. If you need to write the counts, that's also helpful. Let's go to that measure there, that third measure there, where it starts with marvelous, magical in the lyrics. Ready? We're going to clap and count that rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. B, A, G, rest. C, B, A, rest. So you have the eighth rests in between. Okay? Let's go ahead now and play just the right hand. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, starting at the beginning of the second system, and go. G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G, A, B, C, D, rest, D, C, B, A, G, rest, C, B, A, rest. Now remember, these rests are the value of an eighth rest or eighth note, so they have to be quick. Let's try it with the metronome so we can hear how quick they are. And let's bring it up to 100 for eighth notes, starting at the beginning of that system. Go ahead and add the left-hand notes if you want. They're simple fifths, a fifth, and a fourth on the last measure of that second system. Ready? Here we go. G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G, A, B, C, D, rest, D, C, B, A, G, rest, C, B, A, rest. Okay, so the rest is for the value of one click when you have it for eighth notes, okay? So make sure that if you need to, practice the right hand separately. If you need to slow it down and then build it up, that might be a good idea. Let's now go to this measure right here. And this is a very vital measure because we have an eighth note with the rest, but then we have a quarter note on beat number 4. So this one's going to have 2 clicks for eighth notes. This is just going to have 1 with 1 lift. Let's clap and count. Ready? D, C, B, rest, C, B, A. And we don't have any lifts there, no rest. Goes to G, 2 on the next measure. Once again, D, C, B, rest, C, D, A, G, 2. Bring your right hand now. The notes are 1, 2, don't forget the rest on end of 2, go. D, C, B, rest, C, B, A, G, 2. Okay, so we have that quarter note, 2 clicks for those eighth notes, 4 for this half note. In the left hand, third with the B flat, fourth, and then we go back to what we had at the very beginning, the staccatos. And that repeats to the end here. Sorry, make that piano, because we did have a decrescendo. And then we have G, rest, D, quarter rest this time, G, quarter rest, and then fifth and G, staccato, and accent. Notice that the dynamic is also forte, quarter rest at the end. Let's now go ahead and go over a complete performance of this whole song. Okay, it's very important that we clap and count first, clap and say, practice by playing and saying with the metronome so you can hear the eighth notes. Ready? Starting from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. Piano. Listen to the dynamic contrast. Non-legato eighth notes. Rest. Quarter notes. Non-legato. Repetition here. Rest. 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 Quarter note. Now here, there's a repeat sign, but you don't have to take it. Quarter rest. Again. Quarter rest. Accent, staccato, short, bounce, but play that note louder. Now, one more thing I want to talk about, and let's go back to the screen here. Remember that when you lift, let me go ahead and bring the annotation first of all. Okay, so when you have these eighth note, eighth rests on beats 2 and 4, remember you're lifting before the half note finishes its 2 beats. So make sure that the half note is still down while your right hand is lifted. Lift, still down. Lift, still down. And the same thing for the following measure afterwards, okay? So we want to be very precise with our rhythms here, with our articulations, and then of course the dynamics. Okay, I know this was a long video, but it's very important that we understand how to learn and play this. So let's practice very carefully, hand separately, and then we will see you at next lesson. Bye-bye.